We're all taught this story, that greatness is for the naturals, the prodigies, the people who are just born with some kind of special gift. Well, today, we're going to tear that whole idea down. Whoa, hold on. That's a pretty bold claim. Are you seriously saying talent doesn't matter at all? I mean, that just flies in the face of everything we see. No, it's not that talent is irrelevant. It's our obsession with it that's the real trap. Adam Grant argues that because we worship this idea of innate ability, we just constantly overlook the people who have the most potential for growth. Okay, so you're talking about late bloomers, I get it. But let's be real. The naturals still get a massive head start. They do. And to even begin to close that gap, we have to start by dismantling what Grant calls the great talent lie. All right, I'm listening. What's the lie? Wait a second. I thought the answer to the talent gap was just grit. Put in your 10,000 hours. Work harder than anybody else. That's the advice everyone gives. And that right there is the core of the lie. Grant just flips that whole idea on its head with this quote. All the effort in the world, without the ability to actually learn and adapt, well, you're just spinning your wheels. The real secret sauce is developing the character skills of growth itself. And that leads us to this really counterintuitive idea. The key to learning isn't being the smartest person in the room. It's all about developing the character of a human sponge. A sponge? You're telling me that personality is more important for learning than just raw intelligence? That sounds like a pretty tough sell. Look, the standard wisdom on this is pretty simple. You just have to be open to criticism. Go ask for feedback. But think about how that actually feels. Grant points out that when someone gives you feedback, they're judging something you already did. Your defenses go right up. But asking for advice, well, that's completely different. It's about the future, and it invites the other person to collaborate with you, not criticize you. It's a tiny switch in language that changes absolutely everything. And this visual just explains it perfectly. Trying to improve by just gritting your teeth and bracing for feedback, that's like trying to clean a messy floor with a dry, hard sponge. You're just pushing the dirt around and getting defensive. Oh, okay, I see it now. So feedback just smears the dirt around, but asking for advice is like soaking the sponge in water first. Then you can actually absorb what you need to make things better. Exactly. And that quality actually has a name, absorptive capacity. And there it is, right there. It's a character skill, not a cognitive one. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's not about your IQ, it's about having the humility and the willingness to actually adapt. Okay, fine. So I'm a sponge. I'm proactively asking for advice, soaking it all up. But doesn't that just get overwhelming? I mean, how do you structure all that new information to actually climb higher? That is the perfect question, because just soaking up knowledge is only half the battle. You can't grow in a vacuum. Which brings us to the second huge idea, the power of building scaffolding. Okay, now we're getting to the heart of it, because we all love that story, right? The rugged individual who pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps. It's like the ultimate success story. Oh, it's a great story, but Grant argues it's mostly a myth. The reality of growth is that it's a team sport. Real bootstrapping isn't about going it alone. It's about building a support structure that lets you climb. He tells this incredible story about the Golden 13. They were the first Black U.S. Navy officers during World War II. The system was basically designed for them to fail. They were facing this unbelievable prejudice. The only reason they succeeded is because they created this powerful support system, tutoring and coaching each other constantly. Wow. So they literally proved that the strongest bootstraps are the ones you build together. That's a really powerful example. And this rocket metaphor for scaffolding is just perfect. Think about your mentors, your teams, your systems. They're like your booster rockets. They give you that massive essential push to just get off the ground. But, and this is the crucial part, the boosters fall away. That support isn't meant to be permanent. If they stayed attached, the rocket would be way too heavy to fly. So you need the support to get going, but you also have to know when it's time to let it go. This all sounds great. Be a sponge, build a team. But what about having high standards? If you're constantly leaning on others and making mistakes, aren't you just setting the bar way too low for yourself? And that is the final hurdle that trips almost everyone up. It's our third big idea. We have to fight the paralyzing power of perfectionism. But wait, being a perfectionist is a good thing, isn't it? People wear it like a badge of honor. It just means you have high standards for your work. That's what we all think, but Grant makes this critical distinction. High standards? Those drive you to be excellent. But perfectionism, That's a defensive crouch. It's really just an intense fear of being seen as flawed, and that fear stops you from taking the very risks you need to take to grow. And this totally reframes the whole idea of hitting a plateau. When it feels like you've just slammed into a wall, Grant says, no, it's not a wall. It's actually a trampoline. I see it. So the dip, the part that feels like you're failing and it's uncomfortable, that's actually where you build up all the potential energy. You literally have to go down into the mistakes to bounce back up even higher than you were before. Exactly. And there's this beautiful Japanese concept for this. It's called wabi-sabi. It's all about finding the beauty in things that are imperfect, unfinished. Think of the architect Tadao Ando, who purposely leaves the little flaws in his concrete exposed. So it's not just about tolerating your flaws, it's about seeing them as beautiful proof of the journey. That's a total mindset shift. Okay, that's a great philosophy, but how do you actually do that? It sounds really hard. It is. But here's the practical game plan. First, you have to give yourself permission to make more mistakes. Aim for a high volume of attempts, not perfect quality on the first try. Second, reframe that awkward, uncomfortable feeling as a sign that you're stretching yourself. And finally, you have to find the joy in it. Turn the grind into what Grant calls deliberate play. So let's pull all this together. Being a sponge, building scaffolding, practicing imperfectly, these aren't just 3 separate random tips. Right, now I see it. It's not a checklist. These pieces fit together to create a really powerful, interconnected system for unlocking your own growth. It's a virtuous cycle, you see. You start by cultivating the character of a sponge so you can absorb knowledge. Then you use that knowledge to build scaffolding, that support network to give you the initial lift. And you fuel the whole climb by practicing, imperfectly, using the discomfort of your mistakes to bounce higher and higher. So you become a sponge to learn, use scaffolding to climb, and then you embrace imperfection to keep bouncing higher. Okay, I'm sold. It's the complete operating system for growth. Which really just leaves us with this final and pretty provocative question. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until we feel totally prepared to take that next big step. But as this whole system shows, being ready isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by taking the leap. A lot to think about there.